First, we will see about microcontrollers because today's world is depending upon processors and controllers, and these processors and controllers are in every field of engineering for easy operations. So that's why here I want to explain today onwards microcontrollers, because in the first unit we have seen microprocessors, right? So MPMC syllabus of 5 units. Unit 2 syllabus. In the Unit 2, today I am going to explain overview of 8051 microcontrollers, architecture of 8051, and I/O ports of 8051 with the help of pin diagram. And remaining topics we'll see in the next presentations. See here, this diagram explains, right, what is a microcontroller. Right, and I'll explain what is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. But the time being, here you see, right, here you see every arrow is towards this IC. This is called IC or a chip, right? So every arrow is towards this chip. It means this chip, inside of this chip, right, it is having, right, ADC, DAC, clock, right, RAM memory, CPU core, ROM memory, I/O ports, and all these are required to design an application, right, or a computer. That's why here microcontroller is also called as a mini computer. Okay, it shows, this diagram itself shows that what is the importance of microcontroller 8051 IC, right? Because yeah, when we are learning something as a student, don't seek to learn only for the sake of marks, right? So we have to learn before going to the real session where it is applicable, how it is applicable. So for that, here I want to show you some applications of 8051, right? So this is the index of this PPT. Okay, so difference between processors and controllers. I am going to explain advantages and disadvantages of microcontrollers, applications of microcontrollers, block diagram of simple microcontroller, and block diagram of 8051 controller, and pin diagram of 8051 controller to explain I/O ports. Right, so this is the index. Next. Right. So this microcontrollers today for EC students, especially EC students in after third year second semester examinations, final examinations, you have to do one mini project. So for that, 80 to 90% of the projects are based upon embedded systems and IoT, and remaining 10 to 20% of the projects are only belongs to VLSI and image processing. So if you choose your project, right, based upon microcontroller, then you need these equipment, right? You see here, this is the heart of the your project, not a circuit or not application. This is the heart of your project. This is called a microcontroller. So this microcontroller will take the input from these devices, right? Maybe switches, maybe input devices, or maybe potentiometers like that. And according to the input taken from this environment, then the program which was stored in the memory will be executed of this microcontroller, right? Then it gives output to required output devices. It maybe goes to stepper motors, it may goes to 7-segment display, or it may go to indicators, or it may go to any other output buzzers and speakers to give some output. This diagram shows that, right, what are the required equipment or components to do a project using microcontroller. Understood? Right. So this is the importance of this microcontroller, second unit. Right. So a little bit we can ignore microprocessor, but you should not ignore the second unit. But to understand the second unit, you should have the more knowledge on the microprocessor first unit. So that's why here it is interlinked. Okay. Next, these are the applications of microcontrollers. See, today we are using cell phone, right? In olden days, they were used pagers in 2002 and 2003, and we are having watches, digital watches, smart watches, right? And calculators, video games, alarm clocks, air conditioners, TV remotes, micro ovens, washing machines, and smart digital weighing display systems, robotics, everywhere, almost all, everywhere we are using microcontrollers, right? So here I want to show some of the applications. Suppose you see here, this is the automobile car, right? This car is having so many equipment internally that we could not see outside. We will see only outer look. But being a student, being electronics and communication students, what we have to see inside of this car, how this car has become a smart car, right? How this car, why this car is selling at more price. According to one survey, right, they are selling that the latest high-end cars, almost 50 to 60% they are paying for internal electronic equipment and their applications, right? Today you can see almost most of the high-end cars, they are having mobile video means you need not use your hands while driving to lift your phone, right? Simply you can talk by using this application of microcontrollers only, right? Driver information, what he is doing, right? Body or power management of this car, whether this car is getting heat up or not, right? And engine transmit control, engine is properly working or not. Entertainment and connectivity means our radios, our television, smart television systems inside of the car, and all our parking assistants. When you are parking also it gives sounds, or it shows that go park somewhere, right? So on so object is there to stop here, like that it shows, right? Because people are putting more and more money, right? They need more and more care about their equipment. Okay, that's why here they are controlling all this car body by using the electronic, mainly in terms of microcontrollers. Okay, so that is what we call the importance of microcontroller. Here you can see that some of the applications of microcontrollers I want to explain. Right. See here household items in our home, right? Children's toys, our cameras, video recorders, CD players, DVDs, players, TVs, microwaves. Today's where is smart TVs, right? Fax devices, printers, scanners, plotters, modems, smart cards. All are using these microcontroller applications only. Cordless phones, answering machines, phasers, cell phones, which I have given already. Right. So voltmeter applications, today we are using digital voltmeters in our laboratory, and all these are all applications of microcontrollers. Right. So then what is the definition of microcontroller? So before going to the definition of microcontroller, here I want to give once again the definition of computer. The computer is an electronic device for storing and processing data, typically in binary form according to the instructions given it to a variable program. Right. All of us know this definition. I don't want to explain. Right. This is the definition of microcontroller. A microcontroller is a computer present in a single integrated circuit, right? According to our views, computer means, right, a desktop computer means a laptop computer. So you know that the size of the laptop and the size of desktop computer, but they have come up with one solution, and they fit this computer inside of a chip, a small chip, right, almost our half of our palm, right? That is what we call the microcontroller computer, right? A microcontroller itself is a computer present in a single integrated circuit, which but this computer, that is the difference between this computer and this computer. This computer microcontroller itself as a computer means which is dedicated to perform one single task and execute one specific application. That is the difference of this computer and this computer, right? So a microcontroller is a computer present in a single integrated circuit, right, which is dedicated to perform one task and execute one specific applications. But this desktop computer, this laptop computer is not meant for that. Why? Because the desktop computer and laptop computer is having microprocessor, right? What is a microprocessor? Microprocessor is a control unit of computer fabricated on a small chip, and it is capable of performing arithmetic and logical operations and communicating it to, you'll see, right, with other devices connected to it. Okay, that is difference between computer, desktop computer, and microcontroller as a computer. So you should remember these three definitions and differences. Right. The desktop computer and laptop computers are the computers which we know, but this microcontroller is having the all the components of the computer inside of a single chip, but small size, because the microcontroller meant for designing of or execution of one small application with small task, but this computer meant for not meant for single application and specific applications. They are robust. Why? Because the microprocessor they are using will be connected with different equipment, and it will be it helps the computer equipments, and it is using for number of applications that we will see here differences, right? So a microcontroller internally consists of all features required for a computing system, and most of the pins in the microcontroller chip can be programmable by the user. So from outside you can program the inside, right? A microcontroller has many bit handling instructions that can be easily understood by the programmer. Simple bit by bit operations also allowed by the programmer. A microcontroller is capable of handling boolean functions and higher speed and performance. Okay, here you can see that what are the differences between microprocessors and microcontrollers. Here microprocessors and microcontrollers. See, this is the microprocessor we are using in our computer. So this CPU is having external memory, and this CPU is having I/O ports externally. Means CPU controlled input output devices and memory which is allocated externally. Right. So here this is the block diagram of microprocessor, and this microprocessor take instructions from the memory which is external. But whereas in the case of microcontroller, it is a single chip and it consists of memory, means on the chip itself we are having memory and IO ports. You can see here, right, memory and IO ports are required to fabricate an application, to design an application. So this is the difference between microprocessors and microcontrollers. Now understood, I think, what is microprocessors and microcontrollers. And see here, what is the size of the microprocessor? Size of the microprocessor is bulker because it needs to execute lot of applications, not like microcontrollers. Okay, you see, right, cost expensive, almost by default when it executes more number of applications, right, it cost is definitely more, but here it is size is compact, means very small, because it executing only one single applications. So the when it is executing one single application, definitely cheap, it is cheap. And why it is connected to by 220 volts of AC which is coming to our home? Because microprocessor is having one CPU, that CPU is having one SMPS, and whatever the wire we are having, wire power card, that is connected to this SMPS, and that power card is handling 220 volts of AC. Even though internal ICs are operating by 5 volts or less than 5 volts, but it is connected by 220 volts of AC. But here we are operating which is on everything on the single chip, that's why we are giving directly 5 volts of DC, right? So it is not portable, size is very large, but it is portable, and storage capacity is depending on user. So today our laptop and desktop computers are up to 1 terabyte we are taking, but here it is fixed memory, right? So that we will see what is the fixed memory and all. And see here, once again, I want to give a difference between microprocessors and microcontroller. As we have seen in the block diagrams, microprocessor is off-chip device. Means off-chip device means RAM is external, ROM is external, IO devices are external, CPU are connected externally. Everything is connected externally. Where in the case of microcontroller, Microcontroller is on-chip device, means RAM, ROM, I/O ports, CPU, core are connected internally, right? Everything is internally connected in a single chip, right? It is a general purpose in it, whereas it is specific purpose. Using desktop computer, you can do lot of applications. So it is very high cost, it is low cost. It consumes high power consumption. Compared to other devices, it consumes low power. But compared to microcontroller, it consumes high power because of general purpose. General purpose means so many applications we can run on it. But here, specific applications, so definitely it consumes on very low power and low cost. So used for high scale applications, used for low scale up. Low scale means only few applications. Right, it is Van Neumann architecture. Microprocessor is Van Neumann architecture. Microcontroller is Harvard architecture. I am going to explain what is the difference between Harvard architecture and Van Neumann architecture. Right, high processing power, low processing power. Whereas microprocessors are operating in gigahertz because different applications run at different speeds of operation. So we need more clock frequency. Whereas this needs very low frequency. So access time for memory and input device are more because they are connected externally. So access time is very less. Whereas in the case of microcontroller, they are connected on the chip. So access time is very less. So like that here, right? Microprocessors and micro differences, we're having so many differences are there. And microprocessors are using in laptops and desktops, whereas microcontrollers are using in washing machines, AC remotes, and I have shown already so many differences and applications of microprocessors. Right, so this is the Van Neumann versus Harvard architecture. So this is the Van Neumann model, and this is the Harvard model. Van Neumann model means only one memory unit. This memory unit is having RAM memory and ROM memory, and this ROM memory and RAM memory sharing only one single line. Right, means one address line and one data line. But in the case of this microcontroller Harvard architecture, right, program memory and data RAM memory is separate. This program memory is having address lines and data lines separate, and whereas in the case of this data memory, address lines and data lines are separate. This is what we call the Van Neumann model and Harvard model. It means simultaneous execution of operation is here available. So that's why here speed of operation is more compared to this Van Neumann model. So microcontrollers almost are using Harvard architectures. So these are the difference between Harvard architectures and Van Neumann architectures. As I was explained earlier, the differences here. Right. So once again here you can see that data memory means RAM memory. So this RAM memory is having address bus and data bus, and this raw memory is also having address bus and data bus. Okay, so this is Van Neumann architecture and this is Harvard architecture. In the case of Van Neumann architecture, raw memory and raw memory is having only one address line and only one data line. But in the case of Harvard architecture, program memory and data memory both are separated and they are having their own address lines and data lines. Okay, so this is the main difference between Harvard architecture and Van Neumann architecture. Right, so this is a microprocessor. Microprocessor is having all the devices external. Okay, but in the case of microcontroller, here you can see that I am showing the arrow here. I am showing the arrow here. This box indicates everything is inside of a chip. So it's called as a single chip microcontroller. See, CPU means not complete. It's called CPU core. CPU core, RAM memory, ROM memory, IO ports, timer, serial communication port. Right, these are all available on a single chip. For only one single chip they are available. Okay, so that is what we call the microcontroller. This is the difference between microprocessors and this is the microprocessor. This is the microprocessor chip, but all are available outside of chip, and this is the general computing unit. Okay, and this is also one more diagram. A microcontroller basically contains one or more of the components: CPU, right, random access memory, ROM memory, IO ports, timers and counter ports, interrupt control ports, analog to digital converters, digital to analog converters, and serial communication port. These are the some of the components available on the chip of microcontroller. So what is CPU? You know that CPU is the brain of a microcontroller. CPU is responsible for fetching the instruction, decodes it, then finally executed. Okay, you have to remember mainly, right? CPU is the part of the computer, right? As well as microcontroller is also called as a single simple computer. So that's why here CPU as a part of microcontroller, but it's not a complete CPU. It's called as core of the microcontroller CPU. So see here also CPU acts like a brain of the computer, and it performs execution cycle, fetching, decoding, and execution. So memory means to store the instructions temporarily or permanently. For temporary storage, RAM memory, and for permanently storage, it is ROM memory. And latest microcontrollers, they are using NVRAM memory. As I told you already, NVRAM means non-volatile RAM, right? Parallel input and output ports. At input output ports means how to connect the different sensors and how to connect different output devices, as I have shown in the first slides. Okay, serial communication. Serial communication means, right, how to between a microcontroller and other peripheral like parallel ports and all. How these input and output devices can be connected to the microcontroller is called as serial communication. Timers and counters. These timers and counters will give the timing pulses for making of oscillations. This also can be used for counting external pulses. If the communication is coming from the external device or inside of the device, if the device needs how much clock frequency and how many pulses required, that will be given by these timers or counters. Timing pulses will be given. Next, analog to digital converter. So sensor is giving the input, but it is analog in nature. We know that by default input is in terms of analog in nature, right? So that analog input will not be taken by the microcontroller directly or microprocessor directly. So we need one ADC. ADC stands for analog to digital converter. So this analog to digital converter will convert analog signals to digital signals. Okay. But in the case of microcontroller, this is outside of the chip. But where in the case of microcontroller, it is available on the chip. So the signal is reaching microcontroller and it performs some operations. Again, it goes to the outside world. Right. When it is going to the outside world, what is happening? Again, we need one digital to analog converters because we can see the only input and output. Right. Process is happening at the microcontroller inside. So that's why here input is analog, output is also analog, right? And this input analog and that output analog will be converted by ADCs and DACs. Right, interrupt control. So interrupt control means here the interrupt may be external interrupt or input interrupt to execute in between any task by stopping the main operation. Then we need this interrupt, so that we will see later. So special functioning block. So some microcontrollers use it for some special applications. Then we need this special functioning block that we will see later. Right. What are the advantages of microcontroller? The main advantage of microcontroller are given here. Right. Microcontrollers acts as a microcomputer without any digital parts. Right. As the higher integration inside, microcontroller reduces the cost and size of the system. Usage of a microcontroller is simple, easy to troubleshoot and system maintaining. Most of the pins are programmable by the user for programming different functions. Easily interface additional RAM, ROM, IO ports and all. Okay. And but these are the differences everywhere. If we have some advantage to develop something, definitely we should know about the disadvantages. So here microcontrollers also have disadvantages. That is, microcontrollers have got more complex architecture than that of microprocessors. Why? Because microprocessor is having RAM memory, ROM memory, IO ports, and all are external. Whereas in the case of microcontroller, all are on the chip, single chip. That's why it is complex. Only perform a limited number of executions simultaneously. You know that microcontroller is mainly designed for execution of only one single application, mostly used in micro equipments. So what are the basic applications of microcontroller? Once again, as I have given previously, right, microcontrollers still they are using in biomedical applications, widely used in communication systems, used as a peripheral controller, means keyboards, mouse, they're all different peripherals designed by microcontrollers. used in robotics, used in automobile fields, and used in energy management systems of the electrical engineering. Right. So what are the basic microcontroller manufacturing companies? That there are so many, but out of so many companies, these are very popular companies. Texas Instruments, they are providing telecom products involving RF, wireless, and analog integrated circuits. Microchip company, Silicon Labs, right? Renaissance, Renaissance Technology Corporation, Intel Corporation. We are studying about Intel-based IC, that is 8051. LS Semiconductors, ST, this is also very famous, ST Microelectronics, and analog devices, right? Sony company, Xilinx company, and Atmel company. For our project, we are using Atmel based ICs only, right? They are called 8089 series, 88951, like that we are using in our application. So here you remember mainly three types of microcontroller companies: Intel company, right? Atmel company and ST Microelectronics companies. And what are the types of microcontrollers we are having? Right, this diagram already given in the first unit also, types of microprocessors. Whether microprocessors or microcontrollers are differentiated, or their types based upon, first one is bits, right? Are based upon memory devices, are based upon instruction set, are based upon memory architectures. So these are the types of microprocessors or microcontrollers. So bits, based on bits, 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit or 30-bit. Whereas microprocessors are today, they have reached 64 and 128 bits microprocessors also. Memory devices, embedded or external memory device based, and family of instruction based, CISC and RISC, right? Memory architecture, Princeton and Harvard architectures, that we have seen already, these all things, right? But here you have to see the types of microcontroller based on bits, 4 bits and 8 bits, 16 bit, 32 bit. And today we are going to see the explanation of this 8-bit microcontroller, right? And the family of microcontrollers are 8051, manufactured by Intel, right? Atmel, Dallas, Philips, and Siemens. These are all companies are taking the architecture of 8051 to design their different microcontrollers. Whereas some of the companies, Motorola, PIC controller, Texas, National, ARM controllers, and all are having their own microcontroller structures and families. Okay, so this is the types of microcontrollers. And these are the some of very famous microcontroller manufacturing companies. Right, so this is the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller, and this is the microcontroller inside of the microcontroller. So this is the called as the block, and here everything is inside of the microcontroller. So this microcontroller is having one CPU, one on-chip oscillator, one on-chip interrupt controller, on-chip ROM, on-chip 128 bytes of RAM, on-chip bus controller, on-chip I/O ports, on-chip serial communication through RTX and RX, transmitted and received, and on-chip timers are counters. Okay, there are two types of timers are counters. So this is our next coming topic syllabus. Right, explanation of each and every part as a separate unit is our next topics. Understood? So these are the topics of the second unit. Right, this is also one way they are representing. Right, so this is the architecture of 8051. Right, you know that 8051 microcontroller is having, right, CPU. You know that CPU means, right, we need arithmetic and logical unit. You have seen in the execution unit of 8086 also, we need one ALU. And for this ALU, from where the instructions are coming? The instructions are coming from the raw memory. Right, because raw memory stands for read-only memory. It is a permanently storage memory. It stores instructions or user data on the chip itself. Right, so this memory stores user data or instructions as a programming. That's called operating system or firmware programming. Right, so here this ALU takes instructions. That's why here we are taking 8-bit data and address bus. What's the meaning of 8-bit data and address bus? So through this bus, the arithmetic and logical unit will receive, right, some programming through, and it will be operated by the two registers. We need registers, right? Accumulate register and some other registers. So this part is called as right? CPU plot. Okay, so in this diagram we can see here, this is called a CPU, and here this is called a CPU, right? Arithmetic and logical unit. A register is called accumulator, and B register is called as base register, and the program counter, right? Program counter, A register, B register, and PSW, and the ALU. This part is called as CPU. PSW stands for program status word, like same as like our flag register. Okay, program status word means after executing the program, what is the status of the operation is known by the PSW. So the about this PSW also we will see later. Right, A register is called as accumulator. You know that 8051 microcontroller features, if you see, it is an 8-bit microcontroller. That's why here the data operations and register operations are in terms of 8-bit, and ALU operations also are in terms of 8-bit. What's the meaning of 8-bit or 16-bit microprocessors or microcontrollers? Width of register must be in terms of 8-bit. ALU operations also must be in terms of 8-bit, and data operations also in terms of 8-bit. So that's why here we are having 8-bit data, right? And 8-bit registers. These are all 8-bit registers. And here we are having ALU width also 8-bit. This width is also 8-bit, that we will see. Next one, this is the RAM memory. Inside of the microcontroller we are having some RAM. What's need of RAM? It's a temporary memory. Before executing any instruction or any data, right, the RAM hold the operations. So that's why the need of this RAM. So here on chip we are using RAM memory 128 bytes. Today our latest telephones, sorry, mobile phones are using 4 GB of RAM. That is the advancement in the technology. People are saying that the technology has been advanced or has been enhanced. What's the meaning of this? In this way only. And ROM, microprocessor, sorry, so our mobile phone is having on-chip ROM. How much memory is there? Storage memory, right? Today they have reached 128 GB of on-chip ROM. But whereas in the case of 1980, right, it was having only ROM is 4 KB. But it has, right, RAM is 128 bytes, very simple RAM, right? But today we are have 4 GB of RAM. But how this RAM and ROM will be decided? This RAM and ROM will be decided by the number of address bits or number of address lines. So the number of address lines are 16 bit. Why? Because here you can see that PC. What is PC? Program counter. What is of program counter? This is same like instruction pointer in 8086 to execute the address of next instruction. So that's why here we are having. That's why here we are having a 16-bit address lines. Okay, and here the address lines are for to communicate with the external world with different addresses. Here we should have address lines. Of this address lines and data lines are here, right? Data lines are 8 bits and address lines are 16 bits, and they are controlled by the sum of the IO ports. You see here port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3. You know that what is port here? Port is a place where input and output, export and import will be happen, is called as port, right? We are also having at the seaside ports are there, right? And airport is there where exports, imports, right? Where input and output, transmission, reception will be happening is called as ports. So 8051 is also having on-chip ports. 4 ports are there: port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. Right? As I have shown in the minimum mode and maximum mode timing diagrams of 8086 also, right? These address lines and data lines are here connected by the latches. Okay, so port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3, all are having IO means these are all called input and output ports, right? If input and output is not there, then here this port 0 can act as a multiplexed address and data lines, whereas port 2 can act as address lines of higher byte, and the port 3 can act as a special function port. Here it has interrupt controlling, here it has timer controlling, here it has serial communication, and here it has RAM, external RAM controlling, that is read bar and write bar, right? So because read and write signals are connected to RAM memory, so that's why here this port is called a special port. We will see one by one in future, right? And here it has the special function registers, inside of the RAM, because the RAM memory is 128 bytes and remaining one more 128 bytes for special function registers. Okay, these are the registers of this RAM that we will see later, and these are some of the control signals, right? External access, address latch enable, program store enable, right? A crystal 1 and crystal 2 for clock and reset signal, power signals of VCC and ground. So these are called as control signals. Okay? So this is architecture of 8051. You see, this is the block diagram and this is the architecture of 805. Don't confuse the examinations. Block diagram means we have to draw this one, right? Architecture means we have to draw this one. Same CPU, right? See, this block is called as CPU, right? And memory, raw memory and RAM memory. Here you can see that raw memory and RAM memory, right? IO ports, right? 4 IO ports are there, 4 ports are there, right? And interrupt controlling and oscillator, right? These are called as the oscillator 1 and crystal oscillator pins 2. XTL1 and XTL2 are called oscillator pins, and here we are having interrupt controlling pins. So this is the architecture of 8051. So what are the features of 8051? It was designed by Intel in 1981 and it was manufactured in terms of 40 pins dual inline package chip. Right, it is an 8-bit CPU. What's the meaning of 8-bit CPU? It means of 8-bit CPU means it has one data bus, it has one ALU, and all the registers must be in terms of 8-bit only. Right, it has 16 address lines. Why we need 16 address lines? In 8086 also we have seen that 8086 is a 16-bit processor and it has 20 address lines, whereas here 8086 is a 16-bit address lines. So we need address lines to decide what is the total capacity of memory, either RAM memory or raw memory. If you go to shop, any mobile shop or any laptop shop also, this owns electronic device having internal memory of 4 GB RAM and 64 GB of ROM or storage memory. And if you want, you can extend up to. Why they're saying up to only? Why not it is limited, right? It's not infinite, because the limitation is depending upon number of address lines, right? And it has everything. You see, everything is in terms of 8-bit, 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 8-bit stack pointer, 8-bit flag register, and all the ports are in terms of 8 bits except this PC. PC means program counter. Why program counter is 16-bit? Because it has 16 address lines. Okay, we need to execute address next instruction, so we need 16-bit of program counter and 16-bit data point. Suppose you want to perform 16-bit data lines and 16-bit storage of address, we need 16-bit data pointer, and two 16-bit timers are counters. So here more clock frequency if you want, so that frequency should not be in terms of 8-bit, because 8-bit means 2 power 8 equal to 2 power 256. That is not enough to run the different application. That's why they have taken more timers or counters in terms of T0 and T1. So this T0 and T1 is again TL0 and TH0 means lower byte of timer 0 and higher byte of timer 0. Lower byte of timer 1 and higher byte of timer 1. So 2 bytes means 16 bits. So that we will see later. Next one, it has 32 general purpose registers, each of 8 bits, R0 to R31, available in RAM memory. The first 128 bytes of memory is divided into 3 parts. First part is called as the general purpose register part, that we will see later. It has 3 internal and 2 external interrupts. It supports full duplex serial communication, right? Simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. There are 3 types of communication that we will see later. Right. What is the reasons to take the microcontroller? Because simple to integrate in any electronic device, because everything is available on a single chip. It is affordable, everybody can buy it and can use it, and it's simple architecture, easy instructions, simple instructions are there, and low computing power. Right, you take our mobile phone also, right? Once you charge, you can use it for a whole day, right? That is called low computing power, right? And here in the if you see architecture of this one, right, CPU is composed of 16-bit program counter and data pointer, 8-bit stack pointer, and some of the special function registers. ALU means A register and B register, and PSW is known as ALU because arithmetic and logical operations to be performed with the help of some registers. So that's why here we have accumulator register, base register, and program status word. You know that what is the meaning of accumulator and all. Right, so ALU can perform arithmetic and logical operations in terms of bit level and byte level. So this is what we call the program status word. Here you can see that P means parity bit, OV means overflow, RS1 and RS0 to decide to operate on our general purpose registers of 8051. F0 is called as overflow flag. AC stands for auxiliary carry. CY stands for carry. Right, so you know that the carry and auxiliary carry, these are parity, these are all related to our arithmetic operations. That's what is called as a status of programming or status of value after performing some arithmetic operations. Right, 16-bit data pointer. The main purpose of 16-bit data pointer is used to hold memory address for internal or external code access and external data access. It used for both address and data access in terms of 16-bit. So the 16-bit program counter to hold the address of next instruction, and these instructions may be 1-byte instruction, 2-byte instruction, and 3-byte instruction. So 8051 supports up to 3 bytes of instructions, whereas 8086 supports up to 6 bytes of instructions. I was explained one presentation on this, right, instruction format of 8086. So whereas in the case of 8051, it supports up to 3 bytes of instructions. Right, so stack pointer to hold the stack of information, right? So address of top of stack, it is mainly used for interrupt whenever you're executing. The stack pointer and stack memory is required. So this stack will be executed by push and pop instructions that we will see later. And this stack is available as a part of our RAM memory. Interrupts. So this is the definition of interrupts. Temporarily suspend the ongoing program and pass the control to a subroutine to execute the subroutine program and resume the ongoing or main program after execution of the subroutine program. See, right, the most powerful attribute of the 8051 microcontroller is the concept of interrupts. In 8086 also we are having interrupts, but there we are having 259 interrupts, whereas here in the case of 8051 only few 5 interrupts are there. Out of 5, 2 external and 3 internal. Right, the main purpose of interrupt is to hold the or to suspend temporarily the main program and allows the in between execution, and this in between execution will be complete, and then again it goes on to or it resumes to the main program. Right, because sometimes when you're executing some application, it needs to take the help of either hardware or it needs to take the help of any software programming internally. Then this interrupt will help us. IO ports to access data or to output the data, we need input and output ports. Memory is used to store the data, and bus. So here we are having 2 types of bus: address bus and data bus. Here you can see that this is the address bus and this address and data bus. That's why here we need both the types of buses, address bus and data bus. So here data operations are 8-bit, so we need 8-bit data bus. Whereas in the case of 8051, it is a 16-bit. Sorry, it has 16 address line, so we need a 16-bit data bus. So these are all will be explained in future. Let's see. So I'll explain a little bit about this RAM memory. So this RAM memory of 128 is divided into 00 to 7F. So 00 to 7F means 128 is equivalent of 7F. 7F means 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. F means 4 1, 7 means 3 1s. So if you take all the values, so 7 bits to 2 power 7 equal to 128. So out of 128, 00 to 1F, it is equivalent of 32, and the 32 memory locations of each is in terms of 8-bit 8-bit. 32 memory locations here operated as a register, right, not as a complete memory. You know that register is also a storage element. Memory also a storage element, but registers are operating at a higher speed compared to memory components. That's why here the RAM and ROM, everything is inside of the microcontroller is operated through registers. So here this 32 register locations are, they are taken into bank 0, bank 1, bank 2 and bank 3. Again it is 888 registers as bank 0, bank 1, bank 2 and bank 3, right? That we will see later. And 202 2F means again 16 address locations they have used for bit operations. Bit by bit operation also you can perform, right? Again 3027F 80 free registers used for general purpose, right? Here this part will help us in the case of programming, that we'll see. And next after 7F, next value is 80. So this 80 to FF means one more 128 bits for special function registers. And special function registers only help us to operate our timers, to operate our counters, to operate our interrupts, to operate our serial communication ports. Here these memory locations have been taken. That is what we call the special function registers. And these SFRs can be accessed by either direct addressing or using indirect addressing, whereas in the case of these 128 locations can be accessed by direct and indirect addressing mode. So here they have separate indirect and separate direct addressing modes. And so this is once again they have given in detail that 128 bytes of RAM. Right. So this is internal on-chip ROM and program memory, that is called as code memory. So these are the functions of timers and counters. So two types of counters and timers are there, T0 and T1. So this timer are having 4 modes of operation, and this is the timer. And serial communication is also having 4 modes of operation, right, for transmission and reception of data. So that 4 modes of operation is 8-bit data, 10-bit, 11-bit and 11-bit. So 4 modes of operation are there to operate in different levels and different speeds of operation, that we will see. Oscillator. So this is the system clock of 8051. It is available at 18 and 19 pin of 8051. So here this 18 and 19 pins are used for oscillations, and these pins only connected by oscillator, but inside of this chip we are having clock generator, and this sense oscillator is divided by is having 12 oscillations of the clock, and these 12 oscillations, two combined as state. So state 1, state 2, state 3 and state 4 and state 5 and state 6. So here it has 6 states. Each state is having 2 clock signals, right? You see, and this complete 12 clock signals is called as one mission cycle. What is one mission cycle? To fetch, to decode and to execute the instructions, here we need one mission cycle at least, but some of the instructions may take more than one mission cycle also, right? Means one instruction cycle is different, mission cycle is different, right? Mission cycle here is fixed by 12 clock pulses, whereas some of the instructions will have more than one mission cycle also, that we can see here, right? I'll show you. See here, this instruction needs one mission cycle, this instruction needs one mission cycle, but this instruction needs two mission cycle, right? Here these are all called mission cycles, right? But 2, 1, 4, these are all called instruction cycles, right? To execute this instruction we need 4 mission cycles. That is what we call instruction cycle. Understood? So here to move the data 55H into R2 register, I need one mission cycle. So here mission cycle equal to instruction cycle. But in the case of decrement and jump on no 0 to target, right, to R2 register, then we need 2 mission cycle. That is what we call the instruction cycle. Okay. So this instruction oscillator is having internally clock generator. That clock generator will have the 12 clock pulses or 6 states, and each clock frequency is again taken by divided by 12. Okay, right? So one instruction time is equal to C into 12 by crystal frequency. So what is C? Right, C is nothing but number of cycles. Number of cycles is divided by 12 by clock frequency. You see here, clock frequency is divided by 12, which goes to clock or counter or timers to give the timing pulses. So that's why here they take this instruction time. Right. So if you see the frequency of 11.0592 megahertz is the clock frequency. Right. The 8051 is operating at 11.0592. Usually 8086 was operated at 8 mega, 5 mega, 10 megahertz of the frequency. Whereas in the case of 8051, it is operating at 11.0592 megahertz. Why? Because if you see here, right. So this is what we call serial communication. So serial communication, we are having baud rate. So bit rate and baud rate means the transmission bits and received bits both are same, then it is called as bit rate. But the transmission rates and baud rates are never become same in a synchronous mode of communication. So that's why here we have two types of representation of data, bit and baud. Means bit rate means the input which is coming, sorry, the output which is coming from the transmitter is called as bit rate. The input of the receiver is called as baud rate. Means bit rate and baud rate never become equal. Okay, to decide different baud rates, then we should have this frequency of 11.0592 megahertz. So that we will see later. And usually you can take this 11.0592 as a round figure of 12 megahertz. Sometimes they will take. Then to execute one instruction, they are taking, right, for 11.0592 it is for one mission cycle they required 1.085 microseconds. Right, if it is 12 megahertz, then it is equal to exactly equal to 1 microseconds of time. Okay, so that we will see again in the future. And reset cycle, right? And reset is two types. One is power on reset, and second one is called manual reset. Right. 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 So, okay. Power on reset means when you switch on the system will automatically reset to all the register to 000 and stack point to 07H. Right. And program counter to 000. Like that, some registers will be reset to their initial values. Okay, that is what we call the power on reset. Whereas in the case of manual reset, even though system has been started, switch on, then we have to manually reset the system to reset the registers to their initial values. Okay, so that is what we call the difference between power on reset and manual reset. Now I want to stop this presentation here, and remaining 8051 pin diagram we'll see in the next presentation. Thank you. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask me.